Hello, hello. This is skill 6. Again, not homework. This is just some extra practice. Some folks may be struggling with parallel equations. So imagine they give you some equations. So here's some examples of some equations. And here's some examples of no equations. And then how will we go about making parallel equations? Okay, so imagine each of these questions in this skill would say, what slope of a line parallel to? So imagine each of these questions said, what would be the slope of a line that's parallel to this equation? What would be the slope of a line that's parallel to this equation? What would be the slope that's parallel to these points? So I'll write that. What slope of a line that's parallel to these points? Okay, so imagine, I'm not going to rewrite this each time because again the directions would be the same. The directions are, what's the slope of a line that's parallel to this equation? What's the slope of the line that's parallel to this equation? What's the slope of a line that's parallel to these points or these points? What's the slope of a line that's parallel to these and this line? All right, now let's do it. Now, a lot of this we went over in a different video, but some kids need to know just the last step. So if you're struggling turning it from, this would be standard form. So I'm just going to recopy that. Standard form to slope-intercept form. And we need slope-intercept form because we need the slope. So we got to get y by himself on one side. I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. And I get 4y is negative 16 minus 5x. Now, I notice that y is not by himself yet, almost. So I'm going to divide each term by 4. And I need to cancel. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that gives me a y. Negative 16 divided by 4. These would cancel. 16 divided by 4 is 4, so I just have a negative 4. And here we have a negative 5/4, and that's the smallest of a fraction I can get. So now that it's in slope-intercept form, I ask myself, what's the slope? And then, what would be the parallel? So the slope here, we notice, is the number in front of the x, because it's now in slope-intercept form. So the slope is negative 5/4. And the vocab word parallel means same slope. So in this, I'm going to keep the slope the same. So this would be the slope of the line parallel to this. That's the slope. Same slope. Because the word parallel means same slope, so I'm going to keep the slope the same. That's the slope of a line that's parallel to this line. Okay, next question. Same steps. Not really in slope-intercept form, so this kind of just looks like an other form. I'm not sure what kind of form it is, but I am going to get y by himself. The only thing keeping y from being by himself is this 8, so I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides, and I can't line it up with the 12x because those are not like terms. Now I get 12x minus 8. We have y by himself on one side, and so we know the slope is the number in front of the x. The slope is 12. Now that it's in slope-intercept form, we ask ourselves, what's the vocab? Remember, we have to imagine that the direction said, what's the slope of a line that's parallel? Since parallel means same slope, then the parallel slope, a slope of a line that would be parallel to this, would just be exactly the same. No change. All right. Now, these questions have coordinates. What's the slope of a line that's parallel to these points? So this is the formula we need. Okay, so I plug in the points and I need just these y coordinates first. Those go in the numerator. So either order is fine. Usually kids like to start over here and then go that way because that's a 2. So we have one x coordinate is negative 8. Subtract the other x coordinate, which is negative 6. The y, now underneath here, we take the x coordinate and subtract the other x coordinate, and we clean all that up. So we got to rewrite this negative 8 plus 6, 4 plus 6. So we get 10 in the denominator and negative 2 in the numerator. So we know that our slope is negative. It's going downhill, and we have to reduce the fraction. So if the top and the bottom of a fraction are even, you can divide 2 on both the numerator and the denominator. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5, and that's our slope. Now we still have to revisit the vocab, but notice our directions for both 3 and 4 are what's the slope of a line that's parallel. So if the slope of this line is negative 1/5, then the word parallel means same slope, so I just keep the slope the same. Awesome. Okay, let's do it again. Now, if you feel confident now doing it by yourself, just pause the video, try question 3 out, and then play and see if you got it right. If not, walk back through the steps. Okay, so we got our slope, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Find the slope of the line. So I have y2 is 2, and the other minus the other coordinate, negative 8. The x coordinate minus the other coordinate, 3. So I've got to rewrite this, 2 plus 8, 2 minus 3. So I just rewrote it the way it was. 2 plus 8 is 10, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 10 divided by 1 is just 10. And my fraction is negative. So you can kind of just take the negative sign outside. So 10 divided by 1, though, is just 10. And my slope is 10. And again, parallel means same slope. So my slope stays negative 10. Now, let's practice again. Get y by himself on one side. And all of these questions on this video are parallel. So we got to make sure when we find the slope, we keep it the same. So I'm going to get y by himself by dividing by 3. Notice he's almost by himself over here. So I'm going to divide each by 3 and then go ahead and cancel. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 2/3. I can't change. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 2 minus 2/3 x equals y. Now we say to ourselves, aha, the slope is the number in front of the x if y is by itself. Let's say that again. The slope is the number in front of the x if y is by itself. So I know the slope is negative 2/3, and I know the word parallel means same slope. Here we go. Last question. We use this formula. (14) minus is 0, the y-coordinate minus the other y-coordinate, the x-coordinate minus the other x-coordinate. We got to rewrite this, 3 plus 10, so we get 12 over 13, and that's our slope. There's no reducing that, and since parallel means same slope, we're not going to change it, we're going to keep it the same. Thanks for joining us for Skill 6.